morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to ask the question, what is going on with our next main set? Because you know what? Paradox Rift came out a little while ago at this stage, and we don't know what's going on. Now, it is important to note, Paradox Rift, I should say, is, it's basically 2 months old at this stage. Came out on November the 3rd. It's been 2 months, and we have no news of our next set, which is frankly a little bit sad. And we need to have a look at basically what we know and what we don't. And we do actually know a fair bit about the next set, which is rather lovely. But we do need to know where it is. Now, obviously, there is actually a set which has been announced and is on the way. That is Paldean Fates. We know that Paldean Fates is coming on the 26th of January. And yes, if anybody's thinking it, I agree with you. There is absolutely the possibility that the reason Pokemon are not yet revealing this set is because they're basically focusing on Paldean Fates. They're giving that the spotlight and then waiting for that to get out the way, but I don't think they can wait for that to get out the way before they even announce the set. That's going to be interesting. Now, we know that all of our sets are made up from Japanese sets, and we actually know what the deal is quite nicely here. This set is going to be made up of basically Wild Force and Cyber Judge, the Japanese equivalent set, and that's basically it. And the reason that's basically it is because, well, we often get a situation where we've got a main set and a mini set over in Japan. That happens quite a lot, honestly. It's not happening here. And we know it's not happening here. We know for an absolute fact it's not happening here because there is no mini set. Okay, let me walk that back. There is a mini set, but the mini set is Shiny Treasures EX, which we know is going to be coming as our Paldean Fates. So there is no mini set. So whereas we could look at something like Paradox Rift, for instance, and it was made up of the main set, which is Ancient Roar and Future Flash, but then it also came from the mini set Raging Surf. So, you know, one of the main cards in Raging Surf, obviously you can see it on the front of the pack there, that was your Terra Garchomp. And yes, Terra Garchomp made its way into our set. There is no such thing going on here because, to put it bluntly, there is no mini set. Like I've said, there is, but it's definitely not coming here, it's coming somewhere else. That is going to lead to a one of two things. Either a slightly smaller set than, for instance, Paradox Rift, because again, Paradox Rift is literally made up of a main set and a mini set, or I suppose a double set and a mini set, whereas our next set is going to be a double set. Well, yeah, that means there's a whole set less of stuff. Or they're going to start just throwing some stuff that Japan has had that we haven't, and they're going to basically build it up that way. Like the kind of thing we expect to be happening in Paldean Fates, incidentally, but Japan's always getting a bunch of random decks here and there and promos and all of that. So it's absolutely possible that what they could do is basically take a bunch of that and whack it into this set. So, for instance, one card that I know a lot of people are very excited about is Moonlight Hill. That was a Japanese promo which basically, once during your turn, lets you discard a Psychic Energy from your hand and heal 30 damage from all of your Pokemon, which is lovely. It's a really good card. Obviously works very nicely in Gardevoir decks, and there are an awful lot of people out there that are just saying it's definitely going to be in Paldean Fates. No, it's not. And to be clear, I'm not saying it's not going to be in Paldean Fates. It absolutely might be. I'm saying that as we sit here at the beginning of January, there is no reason to believe it's going to be in Paldean Fates. I've seen some people saying it's going to be in Paldean Fates because it was in Shiny Treasures EX. That's just flat out wrong, frankly. It wasn't in that set. So maybe we get Moonlight Stadium and, you know, Scoville and EX came in the same promo pack in Japan. Maybe we get them in Paldean Fates. Maybe they put them into our next set. I don't know. But it's important to note that it's being made up of just a double set. There is no mini set. In terms of release date, we don't have an official release date yet. Generally, we get a February set, but last year we got a March set. That was Scarlet and Violet. But then again, Scarlet and Violet, it's starting a new block. I can understand why that one got delayed a little bit. It's less likely it would be delayed this year, but it absolutely still could. We'll have to wait and see. There's no point really speculating about that now. The important thing is, it has all but been confirmed that we are going to be getting the rotation on the day that our next set, Scarlet and Violet 5, becomes legal. We basically know this at this point because, well, Japan are rotating on the day that Cyber Judge and Wild Force becomes legal, and we're syncing up our rotations with Japan. Not the same day as Japan, that would be weird, but the same time in the life cycle of the Pokémon TCG. Cool. Excellent. So, that's that. What's going to be in the set? Well, it's a weird kind of set, because it's basically jumping over the teal mask and into the indigo disc. That means we're not going to be getting Ogerpon. Now, I suppose they could still reveal it. They won't, but I suppose they could. But they've gone past that. They've actually gone straight into the indigo disc. And the reason they've gone over the teal mask and into the indigo disc is so that they can bring in a bunch of new Paradox Pokemon. There are a bunch of Paradox Pokemon from the indigo disc DLC that are actually making their debut in this particular set. So, for instance, over in the ancient side, we have got ourselves Raging Bolt, Gouging Fire, and Walking Wake. All of those are coming. Weirdly, they've also revealed there's just going to be a straight reprint of Sandy Shock's EX. Like, it's exactly the same as the one we just got in Paradox Rift. There's a straight reprint coming. Why is there a straight reprint coming? I have no idea, is the honest answer. But there is, it's been confirmed. Now, having a look at these Pokemon, honestly, I am obsessed with Raging Bolt EX. I think this thing is amazing. It's got a first attack that for a single energy lets you discard your hand and draw 6 cards, basically making sure that you've always got access to a new hand if you need one. Basic Pokemon single colorless energy, that's amazing. And then we've got Lightning and Fighting, lets you discard any number of basic energy from your Pokemon in play, and do 70 more for each discarded in this way. Incidentally, this is essentially your explanation for why we are getting just a straight reprint of Sandy Shock's EX, because obviously that's got the ability which will let you accelerate energy on. So I get it. It's just weird, alright? It's just weird. This is my favourite of them by a mile. Walking Wake EX has got an ability that says damage is not affected from the attacks of this Pokemon by anything on your opponent's active, so you basically hit through anything. And for free energy, 120, but it's doubled if the defending Pokemon is affected by a special condition. It's fine. We've also got Gouging Fire EX coming in here, that for 2 energy does 60, or free energy does 260, but it can't attack again, or can't use this attack again, until it leaves the active spot. It's fine. Also worth pointing out that Fluttermane is getting its first ever card. And when it's active, nothing has an ability, or your opponent's active, I should say, has no ability. So you know what? Yeah, that could be fun as well. Over on the future side, we get ourselves, well, I actually kind of love it, because we've got the legendary Beast Paradox trio coming in for the ancient Pokemon here. But over in Cyber Judge, we've got the Swords of Justice trio, which is kind of amazing. We got Iron Leaves, Iron Crown, and Iron Boulder. Now, I really want Iron Boulder to be good. It's 2 energy, 60, but if it's damaged next turn, put 8 damage counters on the attacker. Or free energy, 200, and discard 2 energy. It's fine, but it's not good, and I wanted it to be good. Iron Crown EX is the one that I think might well end up being the best. The ability says that all of your future Pokemon's attacks other than Iron Crown deal 20 more damage, and it is actually worth pointing out that yes, that will stack if you've got multiple of these out. We've then got free energy, and it does 50 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. It's alright. It's not amazing. it's all right. And then we got Iron Leaves coming in here as well. The ability says that once during your turn, when you play it from your hand to your bench, you can switch it into the active and move your energy over to it. And then free energy 180 and it can't attack next turn. Good as a surprise attacker. Oh, it's then got Iron Thorns coming in as well, which I really love. The 2 energy, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, 70 for each future card you find, and then you discard the future and shuffle the other cards back into your deck. Really, really like the idea here that you can essentially use this as a giant surprise attacker. The other big cards which are coming back in this set are Ace-Specs. Ace-Specs are confirmed to be coming back. So, for instance, I mean, look, there's an energy which is cute and all of that. It's any 2 energy when it is attached to a Stage 2 Pokemon. Yes, that does include EXs. This will work on EXs. But no one's ever going to play it because Prime Catcher is just gusting. It's just gusting on an item card with no downside. You can only play 1 Ace-Spec in your deck. Everyone's going to play Prime Catcher. It's amazing. It is also worth pointing out that Japan does have the Koraidon and Miraidon decks, which are coming out on the same day, featuring Ancient and Future Koraidon and Miraidon, and a straight reprint of the Master Ball Ace-Spec. Just lets you search for any card, any Pokemon card, I should say. Which is alright, but again, no one's going to play it over Prime Catcher. And I did say earlier in the video that because this is a double set with no mini set, I expect this to be a smaller set, or them to bring in stuff from elsewhere. I think it is a very, 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 very good bet that we are going to be seeing Future Miraidon and Ancient Koraidon, and any other new cards from those decks like Master Ball, finding their way into our next set. That's not confirmed by any stretch of the imagination, whereas the other ones essentially are, but come on, makes way too much sense, unless they choose to use them as promos, of course. They're not particularly stunning. Miraidon for 2 energy does 160 if there's any damage already on the defending Pokemon, or just 220 can't attack next turn. And Koraidon's got 280 and 60 to itself, which is a bit meh, but for 2 energy it does 20 damage, plus 10 for each damage counter on it. And bearing in mind, it's a dragon Pokemon, so it's got no weakness, and an ancient Pokemon, so it can use Ancient Booster Energy Capsule to go up by 60 HP and make it immune to special conditions. And actually, having an Outrage attack on a pretty gigantic Pokemon with no weakness who is immune to special conditions, yeah, that could actually end up being pretty good. I'm going to be honest with you, that could end up being pretty gosh darn good. So that's what we know, and it's not everything by any stretch of the imagination, but it is quite a lot. We know that it's going to be this double set over in Japan. We know that it's very likely to be the Koraidon and Miraidon decks, though that's unconfirmed. We know that it's going to be just a whole mess of Paradox Pokemon, basically like a sequel to Paradox Rift. We know that it's going to be the set that brings the Ace-Specs back in for us. There's a lot we know, and there's a lot still to be found out. But you know at this stage, right, I'm going to be here, so anything that needs to be found out, I'm going to be here to tell you, and that's going to be lovely. But for now, I want to know what you think. I want to know your predictions. I want to know your hopes. I want to know your dreams. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And of course, get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Andrew Kincaid, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person and has actually helped out with a bunch of other little things here and there as well. So shout out to Andrew for the support and just being a very lovely person. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.